Hey there, my name is Dina Falconi, and today I am excited to share with you how to make heart-opening chocolates. What's that mean? It's Valentine's Day, or it's about to be Valentine's Day, or it's a day that you just love to be eating some chocolate that opens your heart, which basically means to bring self-love, peacefulness, presence. So this chocolate is about bringing those energies into you and your friends and whoever you share them with. And we're going to be using herbs that are very specific to heart-centered reality, but also segue over to the aphrodisiac realm. And when we speak about them as aphrodisiacs, really it's about helping the body to become a healthier vessel, so to speak. So it's your presence and connectability are the goals here. So just to be in our bodies in a healthy, present way and to be able to connect. That's how I interpret it, but you can interpret it any way you like. So heart opening chocolates is the theme. And what do we have in these chocolates? Well, we will have chocolate. And this is chocolate that I use, which is 100% organic black chocolate. There's no sweetener in it. We're going to use 1 cup of that. And these are considered dollops. So you can also use 85% or 75% chocolate if you wish. I am really a stickler for low sugar intake, so I'm using the 100% black chocolate, and to that I'm going to sweeten it with 2 teaspoons of honey. If you're using 75 or 85% chocolate, then you don't use the honey. Okay, so it's 1 cup of chocolate, and we will be using 6 tablespoons of shredded dried coconut, 2 tablespoons of dates, 2 tablespoons of virgin coconut oil, and then and a good pinch of salt. But then let's also really talk about the herbs and spices that are going to be in this mix. And so we've got 1 teaspoon of rose that we're going to add, and 1 teaspoon of rose hip. And let's just tap the rose thought there. Roses are really about bringing heart connection into one's life. Therefore, they're in this chocolate. And then we're going to use freshly grated nutmeg. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. Again, that's just to encourage flow, connectability. It's also used for digestion. All of these herbs have so many more functions, but we're looking at it under the lens of how does it help us live in our hearts? How does it help us connect via our hearts? And then, did I say yes, the rose hip, 1 teaspoon of each, nutmeg, and then cardamom. We're going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of roasted cardamom. Again, that's to help just encourage flow. It's a beautiful flavor. If you don't like any of these flavors, you can also sub them, but I'm not going to go into the subs. But this is a recipe that I've just enjoyed playing with. It does have versatility, but those are the herbs that we're going to powder and then add to our chocolate. And then we're going to add a layer of tincture. So the vanilla, you all know, typically flavoring chocolate, which is also a very sensual aphrodisiac-like herb, so it's something to consider when creating more heart-opening chocolates. And then we have rose tincture. So we're going to add 1 teaspoon of rose tincture, 1 teaspoon of vanilla tincture, and 1 teaspoon of Damiana. So Damiana is something that is in that aphrodisiac category, but it is also something that's really all about just helping us relax and feel good in our bodies and in our nervous systems. So, okay, I think I've described everything on the table. We're going to grind the herbs. Let's go through the 5 easy steps right now. So super easy. You will be melting the chocolate and the coconut together with the honey in a bain-marie or double boiler. And then we're going to take our herbs and we're going to powder them finely. We're going to grind them with this grinder. And then we will put the salt into that mix as well. And then we're going to mix everything together, and we're going to let it sit just for a little while till the chocolate starts to stiffen. And then we're going to plop it onto this cookie tray that has a piece of parchment paper on it, and that's going to be where the chocolate finalizes its life. So no, it doesn't. It finalizes its life in our mouths, but it will settle here and become a solid piece of chocolate. And this particular, this here will go put into a cold space right now, your refrigerator, or in our case, our mudroom. So let's begin. 1 cup of black chocolate dollops, 6 tablespoons of shredded unsweetened dried coconut, 2 tablespoons of virgin coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of medjool dates chopped, pinch of salt, teaspoon of roses, teaspoon of rose hips, and we will freshly grate 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Tinctures. Step number 1 is to melt our chocolate in a bain-marie or hot water bath. Basically what that means is you take a pot and you take another pot. You put a little bit of water in the first pot and you set this one in it. And that's about gently heating, gently melting our chocolate. And so we're gonna add our 1 cup of chocolate to that mix, and we are gonna add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil and 2 teaspoons of raw honey, of good raw honey that goes in. And so we set this onto our heat source and we will let it melt just gently. So let's put that on the stove. Now that the chocolate and coconut oil are melting in that double boiler, we are doing step number 2, which is grinding the herbs. And for the nutmeg, you want to get fresh nutmeg and then you want to grind it. And that's how you do it. You basically grate it. And so you're going to keep grating it till you get 1 teaspoon of powdered nutmeg. That's the nutmeg. And then we're going to use a coffee grinder, which is used only for seeds and spices. And to that, we're going to add the 1/4 teaspoon of toasted cardamom, the teaspoon of roses, and the teaspoon of rose hips. That's going into the spice mix, and I'm sorry, into the spice grinder to get ground up. So let's bring it over there and grind it. See you in a moment. Cool, let's grind. So we just ground our herbs and spices, and they're gonna go into the chocolate in a moment. So you can see that the chocolate and the coconut oil are fully melted. And now we are ready for step 3. Step 3 is basically adding all your goodies into the chocolate coconut mix. And so we're going to add 6 tablespoons of the shredded coconut, 2 tablespoons of the medjool dates that I've chopped up, the herb mix, herbs and spices are in there, a good pinch of salt goes in. Actually, I'm going to stir this first, stir all of this in, and then I'll add the tinctures in a moment. So just get this in. That is looking lovely. And now we add a teaspoon each of the rose tincture, the Damiana tincture, and the vanilla tincture. And that's the rose. And this is the vanilla. This is a homemade vanilla. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then we add the Damiana. Damiana going on right now. And Damiana, just so you might want to do more research on, it's this beautiful herb that has to do with feeding or toning the nervous system. So it's a really nice rejuvenative, and it is also considered an aphrodisiac. Okay, and now we've got all our ingredients in the mix, and we want to stir this up, and we want to stir it and let it cool down till it thickens. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And that is what I call step 4, where you just go read something for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, depending on how cold your house is. You know, because coconut oil and chocolate thicken, you know, in cool temps. So that's what we're trying to get going right here. It's starting to thicken up, but let's come back to it, and that will take you to the final step. We're going to let this thicken up a bit more and then come back to show you the final step. For the final step, you take your cookie sheet or whatever that you've put your parchment paper on, and you put this in a cold place. So this is going to go into our mudroom right now and get chilled so that when I drop the chocolates on, they harden more quickly. So we're at the last step. We've pulled our chilled cookie sheet into the kitchen here. Our chocolate mix is holding, it's thick, which means it's at the stage at which we want to drop it onto here. Just a quick note, a quick aside, if you taste your mix and you feel that it's not sweet enough, you can add a little bit more honey. Just saying. I really like mine very bitter, but I realize a lot of folks don't, so play around with your taste buds here. Okay, and so what we're doing is we are just dropping the chocolate. That's how we're doing it, and it's a pretty intense treat, so you might make the chocolate smaller even than I'm making. I'll try that actually, just go for a slightly smaller size. These are potent. Don't forget, you've got a lot of herbal activity in these chocolates. And once I've dropped all my chocolates onto this sheet, I will put them back into the cold room or the refrigerator and let them completely solidify. And then they will be ready to serve. All right, these go in the cold mudroom. That's the end of step 5, and basically what happens next is the chocolates harden and we eat them. They were out in the cold mudroom. It took about 20 minutes for them to completely solidify, and they are ready. They are ready to serve. Now you know how to make heart-opening chocolates. And if it happens to be Valentine's Day and you'd like to make some, please do. If you would like to make them any day of the year, please do. And if you've enjoyed this and you would like more, check out my online course, Wild Food Health Boosters and Herbal Remedies, at wildfoodhealthboosters.com. See you next time.